Hello, welcome to another episode of Forgotten Cemeteries, Pacific Northwest. Today we're at the secluded Newport Cemetery of Yakina? I'm not sure how to say that. Located in South Beach, Oregon, Lincoln County. Alternative names of the cemetery, my Oregon Better site guide just says South Beach as the main name. So let's go meet some local residents and hear their story. A little bit of history about this cemetery. It was established in 1872 with an estimated 25 to 100 burials per the Oregon Burial Site Guide. Find a grave has shown around 36 memorials added so far. However, there's a lot of lost markers, unfortunately. It is worth mentioning that they're just believed to be 2 seamen who were buried here circa 1870. Unknown who they are, but Find a Grave does mention 2 seamen who were buried here that died in 1881 though. When I first read about this cemetery, my Oregon Burial Site Guide, the description was kind of grim. Mentioned overgrown by a plant called sawal, never heard that, and huckleberry. And there's also someone's like clothes hanging over the line ahead. So I don't know if this place has been kind of overtaken by homeless maybe. I'm not really sure, so I'll have to be careful. In addition, my guide said that there's many lost graves and the stones are older than the town of Newport. So we kind of stumbled upon a gem here. I think this may be another mascot for our channel here, just a broken and forgotten cemetery, but it looks like it's kind of being cleaned up. There is some vandalism as well, unfortunately. Find a Grave was a bit sketchy with this one. Dates were incorrect and it seemed inaccurate or entered wrong. As far as South Beach, just a weird description in one of my books. It says the town, it has been known since the turn of the century, although the post office was not established until 1916. So that's pretty much it for the description. An 1893 map mentions South Beach as well. The land for which the cemetery was donated belonged to Lemuel Davis. He is buried here with his family. We have a few Company D California Civil War veterans here who hear the story of Confederate General Stonewall Jackson's rise to fame, an unfortunate ending. And we'll hear the story of the 2 drowned seamen who were buried here somewhere. Like I said, unfortunately, there's a lot of lost headstones forever, actually. Here's the headstone of James Brown. He was born in 1818 or 1832. Again, the records were sort of fuzzy with this one. He is a Civil War veteran, as you can see, belonging to Company D of the 4th Infantry California Volunteers. He enlisted in Volcano, California. Cool name. From what I read, these dudes were ready to fight for the Union and face the Confederates. They were all wound up. But sadly, they would be stationed in Fort Vancouver, Washington. Like we talked about, California and Oregon regiments were strictly isolated to the Pacific Northwest. Here's the headstone of Hiram B. Depew. I think that's how you say his name. Born in 1832 in Meigs County, Ohio. He was a 2nd lieutenant for West Virginia Volunteers Light Artillery, Union side, by the way, because we talked about that before. West Virginia was kind of split during the Civil War, like many states. Some went to the Union, some went to the Confederates. This artillery unit saw action in Sheep Mountain, Greenbrier River, Kernstown, and Cedar Mountain. More specifically, the first battle of Kernstown was March 23rd, 1862. This would be the opening battle for Stonewall Jackson's Valley campaign. This would result in a Union tactical defeat, however, a Confederate strategic victory. Stonewall Valley's campaign was successful even though his army was only around like 17,000 soldiers who were up against 52,000 Union soldiers during this campaign. So let that sink in at how smart this guy was at commanding. The result caused quite the Union commander shakeup during this time. Jackson had a reputation for being sort of unpredictable on how he moved and very rapid on the battlefield. Union was completely unprepared to take on someone like him during this time in the Civil War. And Stonewall is still studied until this day due to his commanding style. He was also highly secretive of his plans all the time. He rarely shared it. At that time, he was considered to be the most famous of all the Confederate commanders. Then came along Robert E. Lee, and I'm sure you've heard of him. After the Battle of Chancellorsville, Jackson would be riding back to camp with his men and Confederate soldiers, who would misidentify Jackson and his men as Union soldiers. John D. Barry would yell, "It's a damn Yankee trick, fire." A series of bullet volleys would hit Jackson and his men. Jackson and his horse, known as Little Swirl, were shot down. Jackson would die a few days later, and sadly his horse died that day too when the accidental attack happened. There's a sort of a sad painting I found in Wiki showing General Lee visiting his friend Stonewall Jackson one last time. And to add to the drama, John D. Barry, the man who ordered fire upon Jackson and his men, he would be wounded in battle and sent home. However, 2 years after the war, he would die. His family and closest friends said he never got over the death of Jackson and died of a broken heart, apparently. So we're kind of overlooking the cemetery. There's a lot of like little paths, and then they're just random graves that pop up. It's kind of a cool cemetery overall. I highly recommend it if you come out here to Newport. So these two next individuals, there's no markers for them, and that's the two seamen we talked about earlier who drowned and are buried somewhere out there in the cemetery. That would be of Augustus Mcguire and C. Winnie Mark. Both died April 7th, 1881. So the story goes that the steamer called the General Wright was incoming and was in dangerous position, and it was reported to the lighthouse inspector when they were coming in. It was bluntly obvious the captain of the steamer, Captain Pennell, was unfamiliar with this area. The old article made it sound like they got into a smaller boat to come ashore because it was getting so bad. 4 men would be aboard, and a breaker came in, just turning the boat instantly upside down. It was pretty rough waters, I guess. One guy was immediately gone, as 3 men could be seen clinging to the boat. That one guy was Captain Pennell, sadly, who was only a few days into the job, apparently. 2 more men would be swept away, and that would be Augustus Mcguire and C. Winnie Mark. One person would survive and be saved by 2 Indians, and a T.W. Davis and Zeno Davis is what the old article said. The survivor's name sadly isn't listed, but interestingly enough, Tracy W. Davis and Zena Davis headstones can be found here, so I believe they are most likely the ones who helped save the individual. However, unfortunately, we have no grave markers, but it's always best to tell a story and try to remember those long gone. Alright, time for the tour. Got this little sign up front, like I was telling you about. They believe the first burials were before 1870, and there's no parking here. You kind of have to park pretty far away. Not too far away. Just kind of hidden over here on the side of the road. I don't think a lot of people would know it's here unless it's for that sign. Take this little path into here for a little bit. I think if you visit, bring a friend. Just be safe. And there's all these little tulips along the path. So it is spring. Let's see a few over there. And it just opens up to the cemetery. But it's like all these little paths that break off. R.I.P. Kurt. Don't know if there's rogue burials, maybe. Someone apparently was drying their clothes. That's what I mean. Be careful if you come alone. Don't know what that is. I'll leave that there for you guys to read. A little Civil War vet here. Company D of the 4th California Infantry. Seems to be a few of them here. Let's go check out the little gated community. Find Hiram over here. Felton. And I believe the last burial's 1940 here, but we've heard that before, and then we've seen rogue burials, so maybe this is another cemetery like that. Copeland seemed to be a popular name in history around here. I couldn't find much. Don't know if these have any name. Yeah, some of these are not illegible. There used to be writing on that one, but not anymore. And then here's another Company D Civil War vet, James Brown. And there's Zenos Davis. And I was telling you that story about the 2 individuals that saved those, saved that one seaman when that ship went down. or a little boat, I guess I should say. Here's another Company D. And here's Tracy Davis. So he might have been the second individual that helped save that one individual. We don't know their name. Probably never will. But at least we could tell some type of story, right? That's an old one. Oh, here's Lemuel Davis. So he's the one who donated the land for this cemetery, I believe, if the records were true. There's all these little paths. So let's try this one. I have not walked this yet, so who knows what we'll find. There's a ton of spider webs. There is an American flag here. It looks like there used to be a marker. Oh boy. I think we're getting into weird territory. Okay. Oh my god, that was a huge spider. Okay. Major cemetery exploration here. Didn't expect this. I don't see anyone back here, but like I said, there is a lot of unmarked headstones allegedly. I'm kind of squatted down right now. Sorry. Okay, that's better. Fun tour. Wildlife encounters with spiders. The mosquitoes are out. I believe there's someone up here. $1920 ruby omelet. I don't know what the 2 means. I wonder if that has some meaning behind it. Somebody here. Unknown. Unfortunately. That's a little creepy. Okay. I don't think anyone's back there. No. See what we got here. Well, somebody used to be there. Unknown. Again, there's some more. Looks like there's someone dropped off flowers at one point here. Like I said, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. It's just random. Or maybe it's from that tree. Let's say one of the stranger cemeteries I've visited. It's kind of up on a hill overlooking South Beach. It has just no rhyme or reason to it. Sure, the pioneers are kind of concentrated in the center of the cemetery, but it kind of reminds me of Whiskey Hill Cemetery, where it just has these random paths, which is kind of fun, right, for cemetery exploration. See if there's anything over here. Nothing that I see. Again, it's like there's a path there, but nada. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. This was a fun little forgotten one. Only a few stories though, so apologies. But if you have recommendations for other cemeteries to visit in Oregon or even southern Washington, feel free to comment below. Hope you enjoyed the vid, and enjoy spring. It's actually sunny today in Oregon. Have a good one. Stay safe. A little bit of bonus content if you're interested. Staying a night in Newport at a pretty nice hotel along the ocean. But it's interesting, as I was leaving the cemetery, I actually ran into a Newport cop who was actually checking up on the area and seeing how I was doing. He did say, yes, once in a while we do have homeless camp up there, and kind of checks on it. And I guess Friends of South Beach are taking care of the cemetery. He gave a little history as well. He said, yeah, like a little over 20 years ago, someone just discovered this cemetery. Said nobody even knew about it. So that was kind of interesting, and kind of along our paths we see that quite a bit. But here's someone out there is taking care of it and checking up on it, so that's good to see. But if you come out to Newport, I highly recommend spending a night along the coast. It's really pretty and peaceful at night. Besides those seagulls very early in the morning over there squawking.